Now that you know what's inside the brushes, let me show you what you can do with the brushes. Super affordable, super amazing, and they do almost everything except the one thing. So if you stick around to the end, I'm going to show you what it won't do. All right, guys, what is so special about a polyfoam brush? I am going to show you all the secrets, 5 things that you can do with the polyfoam brush and 1 thing that you cannot do. All right, we're going to start out with what a polyfoam brush is. It is a brush that is made out of, it's not really a brush, it's made out of a foam material, and it's got some support stuff inside, and it's what's inside that makes it special. Let me show you. If you push down on a polyfoam brush, it has a lot of resistance. I'm putting some really good foot pressure or hand pressure down on that. And you notice that my nose of my polyfoam brush is not bowing. If I do the same thing with one of these, now I've taken this one apart. I don't know that I have the example. Let me hold it together, and you notice that that just automatically just folds under the pressure, okay? So what is going on is in this brush, we've taken it apart. It has the stick support, and then it has this plastic piece that's in there to support the end of the brush, but it stops almost an inch from the end, okay? So that's not giving it very much support. When we dissect this older foam brush, it has, the stick goes all the way up into the middle of the foam part. It has a support, and then it has an extension that is only like 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch from the edge. So that is why it doesn't bow under the pressure. So now that you know what's inside the brushes, let me show you what you can do with the brushes. Super affordable, super amazing, and they do almost everything except the one thing. So if you stick around to the end, I'm going to show you what it won't do. Okay, so the very first thing that it will do is it will seal your surfaces. What I love about that is if you get a dome brush or a other artist brush kind of thing, you get a little bit of flopping and moving about. It's not as intentional. So, and it's also, I don't know, they hold more of the medium, and when you hold more medium, then you're going to get ridges and you're going to get all kinds of streaking and stuff like that. This makes your sealing coat totally ridge free. Okay, so we're going to take a Deco Art multi-purpose sealer and shake it up. If you want, with varnishes or mediums, you can also roll them so that you don't bubble it up at all. I just shake it and not worry about it. I'm going to streak through those bubbles. Spit that out on the palette paper. And there will be links down below for all these products, and affiliate links for like the black silicone matte and stuff like that. So let's talk about things you paint on. Now you can paint on all the things, you can paint on ceramics, you can paint on fabric and all that, but a lot of times with stencils, we're painting on wood signs or floors and things like that. So I'm going to talk about the different woods. If you're painting on a wood that is a natural wood, like as it grows in nature, but they've just milled it down, this is a birch product, and then this is a pine product, okay? Both of these have properties that you want to make sure that you seal, okay? So this is a little bit, I don't know, Rusty, if you can catch that, it's a little bit bowed already. Now it's still good to use, but when you have thinner wood, if you put any pressure on it, it will kind of bend. So to prevent that from happening, what you'll do is you'll seal. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pick up just some of the medium and push it into our brush. And then I'm just going to push. Notice I'm not getting a big foldy fold. Push on that. And then I'll just seal both sides. So you'll wait for that to dry. It'll dry in about 2 or 3 minutes. You could also blow dry that. And then you'll seal the other side. And now you have a piece of wood that is contained within the sealer, and your paint won't soak into the grain of the wood and stuff like that. Okay, so now let's talk about these kinds of woods. These are what I use almost all the time. I love natural boards too, but they're more expensive these days, and they're not so stable. So this is wood that is just, this is a hard board, and it's just been pressed. It's considered like an artist board, and it's like so hard, and it's so flat and so durable and so amazing. I don't feel the need to seal these kinds of woods. This is an MDF board. This is the hard board. This is 1/8 inch. This is 1/4, and we use this almost exclusively for all of our signs. But this, you can seal it if you want to. So it's the same process. You're going to put this medium on and do that. If you're going to use things outside, you'd want to seal over the top of all your painting, but you don't need to seal this because it's so hard. things aren't going to soak in. All right, so the next thing that you can use your foam brush, your poly foam brush with, is base coating your surface. When I take some acrylic paint, I'm going to just apply it, and you notice that it does a really good job of just spreading it out. And I can go pretty darn fast, making big, long strokes, applying it very thin. And that's what I love about it, is you can really get some pressure on this brush because of all that support. And it does a great job of just spreading your medium around. And you'll see that that really makes a difference in your top coat. Make sure when you're cleaning these brushes, I'm going to put this right in the water. When you're cleaning these foam brushes, you don't want to use soap with any of your foam products because the soap will kind of stay in there. If you happen to use soap for whatever reason, I have done it myself for intentional reasons. If you happen to do that, then you want to make sure that you rinse and rinse and rinse and rinse more, and then rinse and rinse and rinse and rinse, so that you get every bit of that soap out. Otherwise, you will have foaming and bubbling in your products later on when you're using them. So, and we do have a video on that, and we'll link that to this video. Okay, so we got base coating and we've got our sealing. Now let's talk about something that I love to do, and that is distressing. Okay. So I love this. This is a nice plain painted stenciled product. I love that this kitchen is closed because this heifer has had it, and we'll link that in the description as well. So I love to make things look antiqued and distressed. Let me show you an example. This is one of our favorite, most popular signs that we painted. And this is also a project video, and it shows you how to do an aged wax resist and all that kind of stuff. You will love this project. Also how to drop shadow with your stencil. So I've done this distressing off to the edge, besides also sanding, but I've done that all with a foam brush. So let me show you how to do that. Usually we don't always distress with black or brown or whatever like that, but frequently we use a black color or a dark gray or something like that. If you distress in bright colors, it can distract the eye from the art that's going on in the middle. So be careful with your distressing, and maybe do a test if you're unsure of colors. Okay, so with this technique, you don't want to have any water in your brush, and you don't want to have water in your paint. So you need a dry foam brush. I'm going to pick up just a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and touch on my paper towel. And then this is a flick, kind of a sweep. If you were on your porch and you had a pile of dirt and you took your broom and you swept it off, you would be like lifting at the edge. I want to do that, but I'm going to be lifting to the inside. So I'm going to catch my brush, and I want to go straight with whatever grain I've got. So notice I've got lines sanded into this. I want to make sure that I'm not crossing those lines in a weird pattern. So definitely straight. So I'm going to flick that until I like what I'm seeing. And then I'll just move along. And notice my paint lasts for a pretty good long time. Okay, so that is how you distress or make antiquing with a foam brush. All right, next, let's do some weathered wood or a distressed gnarly background. So we can do a lot with this. Is an MDF board, but we can make it look like planks. We can make these streaks look like it's old chipped weathered wood. We can, and these are all stencils that we have on the website. That one's a personalized one. We've got this nice winter sledding stencil. This is all done with the foam brush in the background and just layering different color paints. It's amazing what you can do. So I've got just a nice even brown color on here. I'm going to use my foam brush. Notice that, I've got a little bit of dry stuff. These brushes tend to float in your water, so I'm using this great big gallon size bucket to put my brushes in, but normally when you're at home you have a smaller bucket, so when you have a couple in there they will stay submerged. Mine just don't in this bucket. So, but that drying right there doesn't do anything to my brush, and my tip is clean, so that works for me. All right, we're going to pick up a color that's like the color that we're on the background. So dry paint, again, same as the antiquing technique. I'm going to use this kind of mossy brown color. It's not going to show very much. I'm going to blot it on my paper towel, and just with very light pressure. This is where this brush really shines, because if I did that with this other, it's not really a cheaper brush. They're all very, very, very cheap brushes, super affordable. But it's not just because it's cheaper, it's because of that support in there. So, or I guess it's not cheaper, but I'm saying it's not because this brush is a cheaper brush. Okay, so we're gonna do our streaks. If I start with a color that's similar to the background, then I can kind of sneak up on it a little bit. So I don't have to worry about being perfect right out of the gate. Okay, if you get a blob, say you drag and it makes a big blob, the first thing that you could do is wipe it off. And notice I still have a blob there. You can disguise it. It's very much like putting makeup on a blemish. So I can go pick up my base color, blot it on my paper towel, and then I would want that dry. So you want to be careful. The wet grabs wet. It's actually a chemical reaction. So a wet paper towel will clean up wet spills better than a dry paper towel because of the water molecules being attracted to each other. That happens here too. So the wet on your brush and the wet on the board are going to attract and they're going to bond easier. So that's from Bill Nye the Science Guy. Thank you, Bill. And then we are going to use our makeup technique. So it just glazed right over that area I don't like. And that occurs anywhere that occurs. Like I don't like this one necessarily. I can just go disguise that and tone it down just a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to dirty brush into a lighter color. And actually, I think I'm going to go into the black. I'm going to mix a little bit of black with my base. If you guys are finding this information really fascinating, we have tons of other videos for you to watch. So make sure that you subscribe and make sure you ring the bell after you subscribe so that you'll be notified when new content is there. Okay, I don't like that, not dark enough. Pick up a little bit more black in my brush. And then we're just gonna layer these paints. And then look at I got right there. No worries. I can take that makeup technique and I can fix all the things. And sometimes what we can also do to fix that is take a rough 60 grit. You can see when I've fixed things because it has wet paint stuck to the bottom of my sander, but I can go right in that while it's wet and just peel it back. And that's another great way to fix a little oopsie. Okay. You can be light-handed, heavy-handed, whichever makes you happy, whatever the look you're after is. How much fun this is once you get brave. When you first do it, it's probably a really good idea to take a piece of cardboard, rip off the edge or flap of a box that you got in the mail, and then just practice it on the cardboard. That way you're not feeling terrified of it, because it is a little bit of a weird thing to be like, I'm just gonna flick paint all over my board. Okay, so that's a good way to practice. All right, I'm gonna wipe out my brush, and I'm gonna go into my light color, blot it. You're always blotting. And now I'm gonna go ahead and dry this. I've got some wet spots from where I fixed and they're gonna drag and stick. So we're gonna take our lightest color and then we're going to just streak that. The first time you see something like that happen, you're gonna be like, ah! But when you start streaking it a little bit everywhere, and one thing that you can do to prevent that stop and that pressure, turn your board and turn your body so that you're getting a good angle for your arm. So if you have complete movement from back to front, that's going to be the most natural for keeping your lines straight. If you're trying to paint things and you're running into your side, then it makes it so that you're naturally stopping your arm and it's going to make your lines be wonderfully altered sideways and all the things. Ooh. Curvy one. I don't like curvy ones. So I'm just gonna go straight into my sand and take that away. So just layered colors. Very important that they be in your color family. So you wanna go from like a black to a brown to a lighter brown. You wouldn't go from a black to a brown to a red, you know, that kind of thing. So in our red example, we're a dark red. Do we have a highlight color? Let's pull this back up. Our highlight color is our brown, that is our board in the background. So you can see I've sanded through that, okay, here and here and here, all the way across. And then the dark is the antiquing on the edge. and then the sanding does the stuff, and there's some streaks of the black. So you can do a little bit of black, you can do a lot of layering, you can do like whatever floats your boat. Okay, so now every now and again, just because we're talking about this, I like to pop in a surprise color. So you can take a little bit of like teal if you're into it. You can do a little bit of pink, a little bit, a sunset orange would be kind of nice. Just a teeny, teeny, teeny. This is just acrylic paint. Any brand will do. Just the cheaper your paint is, it tends to have way more water, so you want to be careful of that. So don't buy the really cheap stuff, wait for stuff to go on sale. So I'm going to extra blot my brush, and then I can go through and just sneak in just a little kiss of teal here and there. And that just really makes the project interesting. So that is a fun technique that I like to do. All right, that's how you do fake board looks with your foam brush. All right, are we ready for tip number 5? Things you can do with your polyfoam brush. This is to varnish your project. I think a lot of you are going to be like thinking back to like some lesson or teacher or somebody that told you you cannot varnish with a foam brush because of bubbling and things like that, but that is not true, and I'm going to show you today how to do it. So this is a brand new bottle of DecoArt's DuraClear matte varnish. I'm going to show you what that looks like. This is commonly available, and it's an excellent product. It is a polyurethane, and it is water-based so that you can do easy cleanup. And it's a nice size. I love this Bullseye product, but I want it to be in one of these size bottles so much more than in this big can that I have to stir and lug around. That is just irritating. What I love about varnishing, and you don't always have to varnish, I really tend to varnish when I'm gonna put projects outside. What I love about it is it wakes the colors up. And then when you use, this is a neat little story, but when you use a primer that is in the same family as your sealer, or your varnish, what happens is the primer penetrates into the wood, the paint and the primer kind of tend to bond together. And when you put this on top, it penetrates into the paint and you make yourself a nice little paint sandwich. Okay, so this is a super protected project at this point. And so that is what I love about going all the way through to the top. And then I picked this dark project so that you could see the difference. And I'm hoping Rusty can pick this up. Everybody give some thumbs up in chats, and make sure if you are, watching this and you have questions, put questions in the chat. Give us thumbs up to help us with the algorithm, because we're a little business and we need all the help we can get all the time. And we're here for you to answer your questions as well. Okay, here we go. We're going to take our dry foam brush, going to load some paint or some varnish. I'm going to do just this side. This is our tile stencils. We have so many tile stencils, but we did a little example of showing spattering, and then this side is plain. So I'm going to keep that side plain, and I'm going to show the varnish here. Watch what happens immediately as you can see a color change in that surface. So I'm going to go halfway across. I'm really going to move and work my varnish. There's some rules about varnish. If you run through tacky varnish, it will leave little streaks. So I get it as flat as I can, and then I get out of there and leave it alone. But look at the difference in the color, and that paint is completely a different shade. It looks richer, it looks better, and it is amazing. So that is how you varnish with a polyfoam brush. Now, let's show you what you can't do with the polyfoam brush. In this other video that we'll link above, we showed how to apply paint 10 ways with 10 different applicators. And I just did it on paper just so you could really see it. This one was the black foam brush, okay? And you can see it was very difficult to get a nice, clean, stenciled look. If I was trying to make it solid, you can see all of this bleeding under because it has just more of the medium inside the brush. And then I tried to scumble with it, and it sort of did it, but you can see that it did not do a very good job of stenciling. So don't use these brushes for stenciling, but when you are doing stencils, we have lots of other videos that show you how to do stenciling without bleeding under. You just don't want to do it with a black foam poly brush. I hope you guys had fun with this. See you next time.